Hello, welcome to my first video. This video will be about tilting and mentality. Um, this video will follow a structure that will first, we'll define what tilting is. We'll look at why you tilt, so different triggers into tilting, and then how you're tilting and how different people tilt, because everyone's different, it's the world. Everyone has different reactions to things. Everyone gets annoyed at different things. I think this video hopefully is helpful for anywhere between noob level to pro, aspiring players to already established players to identify different strategies and management plans pretty much into how to deal with tilting and how to get the most out of your game at all levels. So whether it's in a big game, you need to keep yourself composed and calm, or whether it's literally just in a pug, you want to get the most out of it and get to level 10. So yeah, hopefully this video is helpful. Alright, so now I'm going to look at what tilting is, sort of define a little bit and just give a little example, because you can't fix something if you actually understand how it works. So tilting is it's a reaction to an event, so it's like a trigger from an event. So just say the event is you're pushing mid and your teammate full whites you and you just get destroyed because now you can't see. And then you die and you're really sad. And the trigger was your teammate full whiting you and you were out mid. Tilt is like the reaction to that event. It's usually frustration or anger is occurs after that happens, and it's like a natural response. So that's what tilting is, and tilt compounds. Usually when there's a big event or trigger like that, saying that just directly kills you or directly ruins a round, it that's the event that led to you losing your mind or pulling your hair out. Um, it compounds each time now that your teammate makes a mistake or messes something up. You think back to this moment, then you think of that next moment, and the next one, and you get more and more tilted. You get more and more worked up, and you get more and more out of control. You lose focus, you lose angels, you're missing your utility, you're not coming anymore. You're becoming just a worse overall player in the space of 10 minutes, and you don't really know why, and you can't stay composed, and you're losing your mind. Yeah, that's pretty much what tilting is. It's a reaction to an event that happens. It can be in your control, it can be out of your control. You might be tilting it yourself, you might be tilting it your teammate. But yeah, that's pretty much what tilting is. Alright, so next is looking at why people tilt. So we know what tilting is, we know what it does. Now we're just gonna look at different sort of categories into why different people tilt. So I've come up with 3. If there's definitely more than that, you can come up with sure hundreds. There's always going to be something that pisses someone off that might not annoy someone else. So yeah, hopefully these help you out. So the first one is a perceived skill gap. So a perceived skill gap is just you see yourself as better than someone else, or you think there is a big difference in you and them. Just say you've got 10,000 hours in the game. You haven't qualified for international events, but you're getting up there, you're making your way. Had a breakout season, your team's finished top 4 in a good league, and you're feeling really good about yourself, And then you play a pug, and you're playing with an absolute noob. Someone is hours don't define how good you are, but for the sake of the example, someone's got 500 hours. They're very new, they haven't got their mechanics down very well. They don't know how to peak. They don't know how to communicate very well. They don't understand what it's like to work in a team very well. Or they don't know how to clutch very well. It's a big example. So you could be watching them play and you just see them making such big mistakes. They're fumbling utility, they're full team wide in you, or they're messing up mollies, they're not mollying what they're supposed to, their trades are really bad, or there's lots of examples. But the perceived skill gap that leads to tilt is you just wish you could control them pretty much. You're microing them in game, you're telling them what to do, you're not letting them play, you're just suffocating them. Every round they make a mistake, you tell them, and you let them know what they did was bad, and that you could have done it better, pretty much. That's the perceived skill gap, which is a very common one, and you will see it in most games you play. If you just listen to how people talk to each other, you can see it. And that leads to the person that's getting microed and abused to feel bad and play worse. It also leads to the person microing them to feel sort of helpless and get more and more tilted while they're doing it. So that's the first one, perceived skill gap. The second one is about communication. So in games with voice chat, I know League of Legends doesn't, but CSGO, we have voice chat. So when people communicate, or people are usually required to use microphones if you're in like an intense game, or if you want to win the game. More often than not, people use microphones. So when people aren't communicating properly, so just say you're asking for utility, you want a flash out mid, or you want certain smokes out mid so you can take mid control like easily, but no one in your team is responding to you. You feel sort of helpless. You feel like you're speaking to the void, and people aren't offering any help. They're not responding to your questions. They're not offering assistance. You get more and more tilted because you're just like, dude, like I'm playing 1v5 right now. This is so annoying. Like no one's using their mic, no one's trying to win, or like you have a really good idea and a good plan, but no one is willing to communicate and work with you on that. That's another big example of why people tilt. And lastly, I summed it up into like environmental factors. So this could be like hardware issues like computer, internet. It could also just be people on the team. It could be the environment of the team, like the culture. You could join a pug and like everyone's pissed off. Like it seems like everyone's had a shit day, and you can tell from like the start of the game. Someone's been stuck in traffic like 6 hours or something, and they get home and they're ready to like take out their anger in this pug, and you're like, yeah, you're ready to cop that. So you might get naturally tilted. You might get upset. You might feel uncomfortable while you're playing that game and just like not really want to be there, and you sort of mentally check out. That's another example of like why people tilt. That's why I tilt a lot of the time. If I'm in a team environment, where people, you know, we're not having a good time, we're not like talking to each other, we're not getting involved in like how each other are feeling and stuff, just normal communication stuff. Um, I generally play worse. Like I wanna know my teammates. I wanna be friends with them. Like I wanna enjoy like I wanna enjoy where I'm working, or like where you're playing. Yeah, those are the big three, pretty much categories into why people tilt that I came up with, and yeah, I'll move forward from there. Okay, so we've looked at what tilting is, why it's bad, and why people tilt. So moving forward, we're going to look at examples of people actually tilting, and this is where you could relate to it a bit more. You might be able to see yourself in these. I definitely have seen myself in multiple of these. Um, so the first one I want to look at is examples of people tilting. You have like categories again. So I have like the rage tilter, like the silent tilter, and the troll tilter. Right? I've been a You can say I've been all three of them, right? Definitely. I'm sure a lot of people have. So the first one is the rage tilter. It's like someone who is playing the game, usually like aspiring players or players that are coming up, or even IGLs. Like a lot of the time, people that sort of feel like they have a good grasp on the game, they have good game sense, they understand what's going on, but the game isn't actually making sense as it's playing out. In theory, they know the right plays and like what should be happening, but just say you've Molotov their main as a CT, and the T's just running through your molly and just destroying you like every round. You can't really make sense of that. It's like illogical. So you start to get annoyed and you're like, dude, how is this guy killing me? I'm doing all the right plays. I'm Molotoving A main, I'm castle flashing, I'm getting into a nice little off angle. How is this guy killing me every round? And you start to get more and more annoyed. And then you sort of like flip over the switch where you're like, it's not me, it's him. Like this guy's just an idiot. This guy's just really bad. And that's why he's killing me. The plays he's doing is really bad. So I'm not thinking about them and I'm not countering him. And his movement's really bad. That's why I'm not killing him. It's sort of it's not very good. You can see where this would be detrimental to your own gameplay. It sort of like makes you lack accountability. It makes you like more and more cloudy as the game goes on. You get more and more of a rage fit. Like you're seeing the same main smoking, you're raging. You're like, oh, this idiot's about to come out anyway. He's so bad. And like this can be the case in solo games and in team games. There are whole teams that will do this and they will just destroy you. But what they're doing isn't necessarily bad if you can't counter it. Like my mentality's always been, if something's bad, show people it's bad. Don't use the cheap excuse of like, oh, that's horrible. That's why it worked. That's why we got burned 16-2 every game in the season. Everyone's horrible. We're just like, if we could just verse the top team that does stuff right, we'd beat them. So no, you need to be able to beat every team at different levels and different aspects and like their different styles of playing. So that's the first one, like the rage tilter. And then we have like the silent tilter, someone who usually confrontation happens in the team, or like they mess something up, or someone wanted something a different way, and they sort of get called out, not even called out, but they get told about it, and they get a bit flustered, and they feel like what they did, either one, they feel like what they did messed up the team, and they feel bad about it, and they like go into like an internal struggle, so that the rage tilt is like external. You're banging your desk, you're raging, you're upset, you're sighing on mic. Whereas the silent tilter is more internal. It's more like internal warfare. They've messed something up and they just feel like whatever they do now is just detriment. So they don't even want to com anymore. They don't even want to go for plays anymore. They don't get active. They sort of go into autopilot mode. Instead of going for like aggressive picks of what they usually would do with spawns, they stop doing them. They lower their tone. They start speaking really quietly, and they decide that they're just autopilot now. They're just defaulting for the rest of the half. Yeah, you can tell a lot of the time with the silent tilter, they're changing tone and how they speak, and even the amount of words they use in the round. Sorry about the odd cut. I got very cold, so had to get a dressing gown. um, so the second aspect to the silent tilter was when they lack taking accountability, or they might try to like take themselves out of the situation. They might think actually the play they did was right and the utility they threw was right, or what their peak was right, so they just shut down. They're like, well, my team's noobs anyway. They don't understand what I'm doing, or they just think you're blaming them, even though it wasn't their fault. Might be the case, but it doesn't help the team if you just stop talking. Yeah, they pretty much just they internally shut down. Like, yeah, well, my team isn't listening, or they don't understand how to play anyway, so I'm not gonna really try that hard. Yeah, that was the second aspect of the silent tilter, and I think that leads into the troll tilter pretty nicely. I have definitely, I have definitely been someone who's done this in the past. It's like usually happens in pugs and pickup games, so just random matchmaking or face games. It's when the team something has really tilted you, whether it's the environmental factors, how someone's spoken to another teammate, or just watching someone's mechanics and someone just looks like they're trolling, or someone is trolling you. The troll tilter, I feel like a way to cope is that you just start trolling yourself. You're like, I don't care. Like, if this person wants to lose, I want to lose. I don't mind. I'll show them I don't care what they're doing just by tilting as well. I'll lose 20 elo. I'll lose 40 elo. I don't care. It's just elo. That's like it's not a good mentality, and you will get worse by doing this. But I have seen people do it, and I've done it myself. It's like the troll tilter. It's like a way to deal with what's happening in the game, a way to like deal with your frustration, your anger. So you just like you show everyone you don't care. You give up. You're like, whatever. If you guys want to play bad or you guys want to troll me, I'll int this game. I'll Tyler one. I'll run it down. So yeah, those are the big three categories into like how people actually tilt and examples of tilt. And I'm sure you can see some in yourselves. If you can't, great job. You're a beast. You're not a troll. You're not a rager. You're not a silent tilter. But 99.9% of the time, you've done some of these. And we'll go forward and look at different strategies to like deal with each of those things. All right. So moving forward, we're gonna look at different ways that you can combat tilt, and these can be, these can be used for any of the things I just spoke about, any of the categories, the rage tilter, the silent tilter, the troll tilter, whatever tilter you are, that you don't have to have been mentioned there, but you can apply these to pretty much any aspect of tilting, or even any gameplay, any team play or solo play you do. So the first one is understanding what is in your control and what isn't in your control. You're one person, you control yourself. You don't puppet around people on the team as much as you wish you could, you can't. And that's the reality of it. You need to understand that you have to let people play, and you have to let people make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. Whether it's in pugs or it's in team games, you're the IGL, you're trying to fix 50 million things. It's just not going to happen. You have to give people time to get better. And if you're in a pug and you don't have that time, you can't debrief after. You can't go over mistakes and do VOD review. You have to sort of just understand it is what it is. This is the hand you were dealt. Play with it. Do the best you can. You can't control people's mechanics and what utility they know, but you can control how you react to the situation. You're responsible for how you respond to this. So if someone's having a bad game or their mechanics are really bad or they don't know utility, you can just rage at them and show how alpha you are and just scream at them and call them horrible, and then you can just like guarantee a loss, or like you can work to actually get better mentally yourself and have like some fortitude and resilience and build them up. Be like, don't worry about it, like it's all good. Like, we're all a team, let's play this game to win. If you maintain a positive attitude, obviously not all the time, you're human, but if you can maintain a positive attitude like 95% of the time, you will win so many more games than you'll lose. Like, I guarantee it. If you want to actually win games and climb in any rank in any game, you have to maintain a positive attitude, and you have to keep like a strong mindset. You can't be broken about things that you can't control. So someone comes to your game and they full troll and just like ruins your game. Do you want to carry around that anger for the next 5 games you play, and then that one loss equals 6 losses, and suddenly you're down 120 elo, or like you're down a whole division of rank? Like, no, that's on you from there. After that first game, all those losses are on you if you're carrying over that bad mindset and you're now tilting other people. So you have to be able to control. So you have to understand what's in your control and what isn't. You just have to let things go. You have to be present. You can't really worry about what's happening or what's happened in the past. Worry about like what you can do now about it. And that leads on to the next point that I was going to talk about. It's like mentality of a noob versus like mentality of a champion. I feel like mentality of a noob will see things as, black and white. Like, it's not my fault, it was that guy's fault. He did this, or his communication was really bad. He didn't know how to help me out in that situation. Or like, oh, my teammate's playing so bad, we can't hold the B side. We're down 0-6, we're gonna lose this game. Another game where I lose, like, poor me. A lot of it's like mentality where it's like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. My team always trolls me. Now I'm angry and raging at them. It's like, I don't know, mentality of a noob also, real quick, relates like accountability and understanding what you actually contribute to the round. A noob will be like, it's not my fault. It was that guy's fault because he didn't come. But I also doesn't understand. They made 7 other mistakes in the round that they've just decided to neglect because like one person didn't communicate that they'll throw in a smoke. If you have that mentality, you will regress, you will get worse, and you will hard cap yourself. This is for any pro player or any casual player or anything in any aspect of life. If you don't take accountability for specific actions, you'll just get worse. Like, it might suck doing it at the time, but like I guarantee you will progress so much further. If you take accountability for like one mistake you make a game and you play 20 games a week, that's 20 things you're better at already. You're just going to become so much better overall. You become a better teammate, and you will just become just more mature in the game. You have better mental resilience. You understand why things happen a lot more, and you improve like your overall game sense that way. Accountability is very important. But yeah, moving forward, like mentality of a champion, they take accountability. They can pick out what went wrong in a round, see where responsibility wasn't on them, but then where responsibility was, and they can fix their issues. Just because you lose a game doesn't mean there are like, or just like destroy a team, like win one, doesn't mean there aren't areas where you can improve. There's always aspects to improve. If you watch any pro demo, you will see that every single game, there's areas where people can improve. Might be better team play, but might be better communication. You could stress communication better when you're in like areas like they're executing on the A site and you're yelling execute A, like help me. You're not just like whispering, oh, execute A, yeah, and then no one comes to help you and you wonder why. So yeah, there's always aspects you can improve on. Mentality of a champion also, like when you're down, you don't just give up. Like, why would you play a competitive game or competitive sport, anything, if you're just gonna give up when things are looking rough? That's the fun of the game. The fact that like things aren't predictable, you can come back, you can win games where you don't think you can, and like a team environment should be. It's You should all be able to support each other. It's 5 people on a team. That means 5 people or 4 other people to help bring you up when you're down. 4 other people to hype you up when you make a sick play. The mentality of a team and environment should be to support each other. That is, you will win so many more games if you work on supporting each other and helping each other out, rather than just like snaking each other, like raging at each other, sighing on mic. Get rid of that shit. Like, mentality of champion, like want to win games at all costs. Like, a champion will like always find ways to win games when they just shouldn't. And that's all starts with like the mindset. Your mechanics can only bring you so far. If your mindset and your mental can't back it up, you have no chance. But like, you can always improve that shit. So just work on it. Don't just give up. Don't have a weak mental. Like, want to win the game and show it through your actions. And that leads to one of the last points, which is like ego check. A lot of people will tilt naturally to things that aren't in your control, and it's okay, you're human. But ego check is like, look at yourself as a player overall in the server and like in the mirror, and just like understand you make mistakes as well. You make lots of errors a game. Your mechanics might make it more forgiving. You might not be able to tell, or maybe they don't. Maybe you can tell. But understand, like, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's human. Let go of your ego and don't feel the need to destroy someone every time they mess something up, or sigh on a mic when someone messes something up that you wouldn't have, like, or what, like whinging and whining. Like, that's not what a teammate does. That's not how you should play a game in any aspect, whether it's a pug or it's a team game. You need to be able to keep your ego in check, understand everyone's at different levels of the game. Don't use that as like a leverage on someone else. Don't just destroy someone else because like they have 500 hours versus your 12,000, or like you would have played that clutch better, so you're just now abusing them. Understand like where you're at, where you were at, and like where you can be. If you want to get better, you let go of your ego and you won't play games looking for stats or looking for HRTV ratings. That stuff, like any of the top teams will like laugh at you if you just continuously talk about HRTV ratings, talk about your stats and how good you are. People won't want to play with you because they'll think that's all you care about. You don't care about the team overall. So if you can actually focus on like fixing your mentality, it's like change it from like a noob to like a champion mentality, like step by step. You don't have to become like Michael Jordan overnight. Um, you work on like bringing your team up rather than like pushing them down. You try and work as like a pillar of support in your team and like positivity rather than negativity and like whinging and tilt and sighing. Um, if you try and like keep your ego in check while you're playing and actually work to like play the present round and what's happening, your tilt will just like it will negate. If you actually focus on these things, you will get less tilted in games. You will win way more games, and you will actually have fun playing the game. Hopefully, because at the end of the day, it is a video game. You should be playing for fun. There's like a select few that play for a job, full time work, but like in the process of becoming that, maybe you will one day. But it has to start from passion. You have to actually enjoy what you're doing. You can't just be raging and pulling your hair out every game. But yeah, I hope those points will help you sort of negate tilt and help you to combat it in the future. And I hope they all made sense. I hope you guys have a good day and enjoyed watching the video. Thanks for watching.